Alrighty, we're going to call this special city council meeting Monday, May 5th, 2025 at 6 p.m. to order. Want to recognize the attendees from the Cherokee Village Suburban Improvement District. If you don't care to stand with me, we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll recognize a short moment of silence, please. Miss City Clerk, roll call, please.
Harrison.
Here.
Rachel Tatum.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Lowe.
Here.
Ishmael.
Here.
Jeff Tatum.
Here.
Roland.
Here.
Mayor, Clerk, Attorneys, and Attendants.
For the record, do you want to go through your roll call just for the record?
Okay. Tony, let's go ahead.
I'm Betsy Wall. Susan Jett.
Okay. Dave Nebel.
Tony Stallsmith.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here tonight. Since we had such a long agenda, everybody had a little bit of time to look over the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ishmael, seconded by Mr. Tomlin, to approve tonight's agenda. All approve, say aye.
Aye.
All disapprove, say the like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Any public comments or questions on the agenda item?
Just for my information, this is a legislative session, correct?
Legislative session, yeah.
That means we can vote.
Yes.
It's not a working meeting, it's a legislative session.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, in the new business, we have the fire station, the proposal that was drafted by Jody Shackelford and his team at the law firm, Iron Rock, I believe the name of it. Iron Rock, yes. I guess we'll go ahead and read it.
On behalf of the citizens of the city of Cherokee Village, known as City, as mayor, I submit this formal offer for the transfer of Cherokee Village Suburban Improvement District Number 1, known as SID, 3 fire station properties to the city for a nominal consideration of $1 each. Settlement language authorizes continued use of or normal lease, both revenue and neutral. A nominal sale with identical economic efforts is squarely within the settlement right spirits, and by the eliminating CID's expense actually benefits class members. This proposal fulfills paragraph 17 of the final order approving class settlement entered on October 22nd, 2021 in the Krakowski versus Cherokee Village SID number 1 case number 68CV-18-225, which contemplated either continuing permissive use of the city by the city or the lease of the stations for a nominal fixed sum, but by conveying title instead of executing a lease, we achieve the same economic result for CID, while permanently clarifying ownership, eliminating future liability for CID, taxpayers, and unlocking federal and state grant opportunities that requires deeded ownership. Arkansas Code Entity 14-92-231 expressly authorizes a suburban improvement district to sell or convey real property that, in the SID's board's judgment, is no longer required for the purpose of the district. Fire protection is not within the SID's statutory mission of maintaining streets, lakes, parks, and common amenities. For decades, the city has borne 100% of the personal, operational, and capital costs for the fire departments. Thus, 3 stations plainly qualify as surplus property. Transfer of the title is fully consistent with both the statute letter and the spirit of the Kondrasky settlement and its equity goals. A deed transfer also eliminates SID's need to maintain premises, liability insurance, budget for roofs, HVAC systems, structural repairs, respond to FOIA requests, or account for casualty proceeds and bond disclosure. These responsibilities will pass entirely through the city at closing. For the city, ownership is indispensable. Federal assistance for firefighters grants, USDA community facility funds, and state rural services grants typically require the applicant to own the facility outright. And IOS evaluators award clear credit when the department owns its stations, which can lower homeowners' premiums throughout Cherokee Village. The proposed conveyance covers the following properties: Fire Station Number 1, Basehart Station located at 1 Basehart Road. Fire Station Number 2, Wakita Station located at 79 West Wakita Drive. Fire Station Number 3, Anaga Station located at 5 Anaga Road, also known as 1759. Closing on the 3 properties would occur on or before June 30th, 2025, or such earlier date as our council may mutually select. SID would execute general warranty deeds conveying fee simple title-free of liens and encumbrances, except existing easements of record. SID would pay for the recording and the deed preparation fees, while the city would bear any title insurance premium it chooses to purchase. Upon closing, the city would assume all duties, liabilities, maintenance, obligations, utility expense, and staffing costs associated with the station. This transfer would supersede the permissive use arrangement memorialized in paragraph 17 of the 2021 settlement, but all the settlement provisions would remain intact. This offer remains open until 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time on May 31st, 2025, and may be accepted either by vote of the SID Board of Commissioners or by returning an executed counterpart to this letter. Should the SID Board agree to, in principle, the city attorney will coordinate immediately with SID's counsel to prepare the deed and brief closing memorandum allowing the transaction to conclude within 30 days. A draft resolution declaring the station surplus and authorizing conveyance of the city accompanies this letter. According to the resolution and execution of the deeds are the only steps necessary under Arkansas Code 14-92-231. No referendum, assessor certificate, or court approval is required. By acting now, the CID will discharge the fiduciary duty of safeguard assessment revenue, eliminate unnecessary risk, and ensure the Cherokee Village fire protection infrastructure is owned, managed, and maintained by the city's and entity responsible for delivering those life-saving services. I respectfully urge the CID Board to accept this proposal. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to continuing our strong partnership in serving as the residents of Cherokee Village. Stephen R. Rose, Mayor.
Is it any open discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I do have, I believe, one correction. Mr. Ishmael pointed out on page 1, third paragraph, second sentence that says, fire protection is not within SID's statutory mission of maintaining streets. I believe that should be stricken.
Yeah, the streets need to be.
Statutory mission of lakes, parks, and common amenities. I know there's been several revisions, but I think that
Yeah.
those two words should be stricken.
Steve, can you clarify just a tad? Do you think that we need to pull the word lakes, parks, and common amenities out?
No, just
No,
the
sir.
street.
Just maintain, the two
Yeah,
words,
just the maintenance of
maintaining
streets.
streets.
That's why I want to make
Yeah, 'cause
absolutely
the city-
positively clear. That's what we're looking at.
Yes,
Okay.
just the word street, just streets, mission of maintaining the streets. Yeah, I actually didn't catch that until this afternoon, so that was gonna have to come out. When you get to looking at the same thing over for a while, it needs, the words run together. Any discussion, anything, any questions, any discussions? I mean, that's what we're here for, to openly discuss it in front of the citizenship.
Well, I'm only speaking on my behalf, not the commission's behalf. So this was a proposal that I had.
Please speak up.
I'm sorry. This is a proposal that I had brought up before the city commission last year. So I myself, like I said, I'm only one of the 5 commissioners, but I myself am in favor of this. I've always felt that we should have turned this over to you guys to let you all handle all the firefighting business, and for us, SID, to get out of that business. So, like I said, I only speak for myself, not the rest of the commission. The commission, other commissioners have different opinions, so I'll let them talk on their own.
Any questions, any?
Well, for you getting the fire stations, but I'm not for spending any more city money to help do that, to be honest with you, Steve. So if you would bear the cost associated from day one for all of the activities associated with a transfer like this, that would be more beneficial, in my mind, for the citizens of Cherokee Village and SID.
What cost are you talking about?
The closing fees that
Closing
were
fees.
brought up, yeah.
So the SID would pay for recording and deed preparation fees,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know that I agree with that. I think when we're trying to do something specific to help the city of Cherokee Village with the ownership of the fire stations, I think you ought to be prepared to take all the costs associated with any such transfer.
Mr. Mayor, could I respond to Mr. Page's comment?
Okay, yes.
So I would point out, and I'm referring to the SID website, and I'm going to pass along copies, if you would pass these down. Yes, I've got enough. So if you go to cvsid.org,
I'll hand those out for you.
okay, thank you.
To everyone?
The mayor, and then on down. So I'll wait for everybody to get a copy, but this is directly printed today from the current SID website, and it is about us under that section of the website. If you'll turn, here's the website. If you'll turn to page 2 of that document, and under the letter CVI-SID. In the second paragraph, and it starts talking about the village in the first paragraph, but the second paragraph is what I specifically am making reference to. It states, and I quote, "Upon substantial completion of Cherokee Village, Cooper Communities deeded all of the amenities to the Suburban Improvement District. The amenities now include 2 golf courses, 7 lakes, 3 recreation centers, fire protection services, and a number of parks and other facilities." So to Mr. Page's point, which I understand, but Cooper Communities bore the cost of the deed preparation back in approximately, I believe this was in 1974, but it's not stated here, but I'm quoting SID's website.
Yeah, it started
So-
in 69, maybe.
So this is the precedent that was set by Cooper Communities when they deeded those amenities to SID. SID didn't build the facilities, they were deeded to SID, and that's, I think, the purpose of what the city attorney was doing, was trying to replicate the same transaction that was done under Arkansas statute and current Arkansas statute. And recording fees are going to be pretty minimal. I can't imagine recording 3 separate deeds to exceed $50.
It would be 50 per deed, so it's...
50 per deed, so $150 recording fees.
The prep fees are going to be probably, with doing 3 different parcels, probably $500 a parcel, so $1,500.
Okay. And then further, the second point being, since 1998, when the city incorporated, the city has borne the costs of maintenance, both external to the buildings and internal to the buildings, heat and air systems. I mean, we could ask the fire chief to come up and talk about the replacement of roof and heat and air systems and so forth. So maintenance of the lawns and grounds around them and so forth. And so I guess what we're looking at here is approximately $1,650 according to Mr. Ishmael.
And that's an estimate.
And that's just the
Estimate.
estimate.
Just a pure estimate of the water.
So,
So, Mr. Page, just because I'm not a real estate expert, that's what I got Mr. Ishmael for.
And Mr. Lowe, he's one too.
And Mr. Oh, yeah, that's Mr. Lowe. See what you got into? Let me see. So the warranty deeds and the fees and, of course, the checking.
I mean, overall, the closing fees for both, the most expensive part's going to be the title insurance.
Yeah, title insurance. Yeah.
And I don't know,
And
that's going to vary based on the valuation of the
Yeah, and that's
property.
and the city's going to do the title insurance. Yeah, I was trying to think.
Mayor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Martin.
If that's the only thing that's stopping SID from going ahead with this deal, then I would make a motion that we accept the change to the document that we pay all costs. Because it's minimal and we're getting something done rather than fighting over nickels and dimes.
Yeah.
So that's my motion. If there's a second, I appreciate it.
But I mean, we don't know if that's acceptable to them. They may have another.
We're trying to work with them. And
Yes. I mean, no.
Totally understand.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I would second that, but I don't know that that they're still willing to move forward.
But
So,
it shows that
yeah,
we are working. So are you seconding?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we got a
I mean,
motion and
I mean, if that's what it takes to get them, I'm willing. So we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Ishmael to change the closing to where the city would bear the cost of the warranty deeds and the deed preparation and recordings and title insurance. Pretty much the city would bear the full cost of closing.
correct. And SID wouldn't be pulling anything out of their pocket.
Yeah. All righty. Roll call vote, please, Ms. Penny.
Rachel Tatum,
Yes.
Thompson,
yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Jeff Tatum,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Motion passed.
I just think it would be silly to let $1,600 get in the way of
Yeah, I agree.
something.
I think you may need to add to that. I think it's more like 2,200 when you start looking at different parcels.
Well, I mean, and that's fine. I mean, we've
Yeah,
agreed to.
Yeah,
I don't want to get trapped and have some.
Well, we didn't put a
We
number
didn't, we
on it.
didn't agree to
Yeah,
the number,
there's
we
no-
agreed to cover all closing costs.
Put it on to 7,000 for the insurance we've already paid this year. Our premiums were due
Have we
in
already-
January, so we've already paid that insurance. That's additional money out of our pocket.
Well, up until the day that the closing, you own them. We don't take over ownership until the day of closing.
Well,
So up
insurance
to-
insurance premiums have to be
Yeah,
prorated.
yeah.
You
When you're in-
receive a refund for
Yeah, you
the
would
amount of
receive a
time that
prorated
is no
refund.
longer needed.
I didn't see that terminology in the agreement.
Oh, okay.
That's not our,
That would be-
insurance is on your side,
Yeah.
that's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, because we wouldn't do anything with that because we would have to pay our own insurance after we assume ownership.
So as I see this, you guys want to take possession of the property worth $2.197 million.
No,
No?
sir.
Yes.
We're not wanting to take, we want to take possession of the citizens' property, the property that's already been bought and paid for by the citizens of Cherokee Village. It's not the city versus SID. This has already been bought and paid for by the citizens of
Excuse
Cherokee
me,
Village.
I was speaking.
Hey.
Now, I'm not going to put up.
Hey, you can get your point out, but be civil about it. Peter, you can
Yes,
get your
sir.
point out, but be
I
civil about it.
apologize.
We carry these buildings on our assessments, which has to do with the money we collect on assessments, which goes towards the paying of all the amenities that Sid takes care of. This is on our books, not the city's, it's on Sid's books. The last problem we had came from the lawsuit, which stated that we, as Sid, have the right to maintain these buildings with the city on a lease agreement, which I maintain we should completely stay with until the future of Sid is determined. If Sid is going to exist or if Sid is not going to exist. And it's coming down the road a lot sooner than we think. So for now, I am opposed to this recommendation. I am opposed to it. I agree we should have a lease that is fair and equitable to everybody. But from what I'm seeing in this proposal, you are not trying to work with Sid at all. None. Zip.
What in their proposal do you not agree with that we are not trying to work with? We just
Sell them for $1.
Wait, hold
No,
on.
fair and equitable is what
We
the
just,
laws.
we just voted to pay all the closing costs.
Fair and equitable is what the lawsuit read. And this is not fair and equitable.
Said for a nominal fee, which
For the lease.
is
A
$0
nominal
or
lease.
$1.
For the lease.
And the property, as Mr. Martin pointed out, has already been bought and paid for by Cooper Communities. It's been bought, it was transferred ownership to SID in 1969, I think is what I read today. 69 or between 69 and 74. So SID never actually expended any money on the construction of them. They just merely took possession of them when they was transferred to them. So basically, the city, which, and I'll be honest with you, Mr. Neville, this is a ball that's been kicked down the court since 2004. This should have been decided in 2004, and we wouldn't be here right now. When the city took over the fire operations in 2004, it should have there should have been something in there that after a certain amount of time that they automatically turned over to the city, because the city, by state law, has to be in the fire protection business.
Well, I understand that.
And so, I mean,
Lots of shit
exactly. I'm just saying, we got stuck with a bad bill at the bar is what happened.
Us too.
We went in to hang out and have a good time. We got stuck with a bad bill because this should have been taken care of 20 years ago. All we're trying to do is rectify the problems that happened 20 years ago and move forward on them. And I'm going right back to what Mr. Neville said. Not that I want SID to go anywhere tomorrow, because the city has no plans and no funding to take care of the many amenities that SID has. But to go back to exactly what Mr. Neal said, because of the questionable future in SID, we're trying to, as Barney Five would say, nip this in the bud to get it taken care of, to save our fire stations and transfer them into city's control, so there is no questions about the fire stations. The
Mr.
city
Mayor,
can't operate, the city has to have fire stations to house our fire equipment in.
May I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think there's anyone that has shown any reason to believe that the fire stations are at any risk. Y'all have lived in those fire stations for rent-free for all these years. You've done all those things that you said earlier. And so this is not something that is on the burner that's fixing to happen. I think that this is an opportunity. Can I finish?
Please.
I think this is an opportunity for Sid and the city to work together. And we were trying to do that with the lease, moving forward, putting things in writing, rectifying some of those things that didn't happen in the past. But this isn't really something that works for both parties. And I think that instead of trying to push us and bully us into trying to make us make a decision.
There is no bullying.
Well,
We're in
it's
an open
so
meeting.
odd that we didn't receive this resolution with our paperwork earlier today. We received a draft of your letter, but no resolution that we could have forwarded to our attorneys to let them review before we came to the meeting.
It was all sent this morning.
It was not. And every one of us has
Mr.
a copy,
Mayor.
which
I emailed that
this
out
is
to
ridiculous.
We got something Saturday morning.
It says draft all over it. I don't think that's what she meant to send us, but this is.
No,
what it
that's the
says.
draft, that's how we do things, the
It's
draft.
3 pages, and there was
Hey.
no resolution.
Stay civil. Stay civil. All we're doing is trying to work
We
together.
received the 3 pages from the letter from the mayor. We did not receive the resolution that was attached. So
Mr.
our
Mayor, can-
The resolution is to do with the city council.
Well, our attorney would need to look at this before we would ever.
And like, what did I tell you in the
as well.
beginning? What did I tell you in the beginning, Miss Betsy? I told you we're not voting on anything today. This is merely a working meeting to hash out what needs to be voted.
It's a legislative vote.
It's a legislative voting meeting. You confirm that.
Have I asked you to vote on anything? This is merely to get it out
They
there
don't get
so
to
you
vote.
can, so you can decide what to do.
Mr. Martin nearly asked, and point of order, Mr. Martin, clarify, it is the type of meeting that we're conducting. It doesn't mean that any vote is required. Is that correct?
The city has to vote on stuff because just like we had to vote on that.
It is a meeting on a specific subject, fire station, which allows us to, like we just said, alter the document, okay? So we voted to do that. If it was a working meeting, then there's no reason to vote on anything, but we voted as a group to alter that document. And I really don't want to see fighting between the clerk and you guys.
No.
And our request
So-
was for a working meeting.
So-
It's in writing.
Yeah.
We had a working meeting.
So anyways, from what I understand in that document, it has from January or June what? What's the
May
date?
30th.
May 31st.
May 30th.
May 31st? Would that, can we extend that another month so that lawyers can take a look at it? Or is that,
I'll forward it to them.
well, I mean, would that be something that you need another month?
I think that's going to be completely up to the attorneys. I will
Well,
forward
I'm
this.
asking you, you're saying we don't have enough time, so I'm trying to make it so that I'll make a motion and ask them to add a month, if that makes everything a little bit better. More capital.
Peter, I think that once our attorneys review it, they'll let us know if they need more time or not.
Okay.
I can't speak for the attorneys. They haven't had an
Well,
opportunity.
I'm just saying, what's on it now is the end of this one.
Mr. Mayor.
Would you rather have it be? Would you rather have it be?
Hold on, let him get done.
I'll answer your question.
Respect the way it is.
Well, and
We cannot, and I'm speaking for myself like Tony did, this is the way this is written is unacceptable to me as one of 5 commissioners.
okay, and
So I don't care if it takes you 30 days or
No.
until tomorrow.
We're done with our side, and we're presenting something to you. So I'm asking you, is a month to the end of this month not good enough? We'll extend it to January.
June.
June. Whew. Sorry. So that gives you more time for them so you don't feel rushed. So that gives you a whole extra month, because you said you just saw it today, and I can understand that. If I just saw something, I wouldn't want to be voting on it either.
So expect you to take your turns and get into it.
Would that help you by physically putting that in?
I don't think that's necessary. I think once the attorney looks at it, then they'll decide going forward.
Okay, so a month is enough time to show to your attorneys and have them get back to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Come on, go.
This will be in our committee meeting too, our meeting where.
And like,
It's still coming out.
and like I said, this was for us, our proposal, to go to you to be discussed tonight, for you to take back to your regular meeting, because you have to go to your regular meeting and vote on stuff in your regular meeting, just like the city would have to vote on stuff in a regular meeting. That's the whole purpose of the night. I mean, we're getting off kilter whether we're going to word it a working meeting or a special meeting. It's,
Well, we want we could go to alter the document.
if it had been a working, just the explanation, if it had been a working meeting, we would not have been able to vote to make a change to the document without going to the regular council meeting, which would have been 2 weeks.
Mayor, I asked
But we
you
could
that
vote,
before
we
the
could
meeting
vote it
started.
tonight. Huh?
I asked you that before the meeting started.
And I said yes, and I said, you're not being asked to vote on anything tonight. I'm not asking you to vote on anything tonight. I mean, actually, it's not you, you're the general manager, you don't hold a vote, it would be between them. It would be between the commissioners to vote.
Exactly.
And I told you, I said, I'm not asking you to vote tonight, because you have to take it back to your regular meeting.
Thank you.
But we have to vote.
Could we travel down just a small tributary? Because I had a number of people approach me when they knew we were thinking about transitioning the fire stations to the city. And apparently, there is a wonderful opportunity, if the city actually owns the fire stations, to drop the fire protection requirements per individuals within Cherokee Village. And I don't know enough to be dangerous. I think I said that correctly, but I'm not sure.
Are you referring to the ISO ratings, they call it?
That's part of
Insurance
it.
safety offices?
Yes, sir.
And it would be, it is points, it's a point, Mr. Fire Chief can explain it a little bit better than I can, but your ISO is a group of points that adds up to 100. Each part counts for a certain amount of points. The higher the points you get, closer to 100, the lower the homeowner's insurance is. It does add points to the ISO. Now, whether it would be enough to get us down, that would be seen, but it would add points.
That was a comment from a number of citizens to me when they learned that we were considering this at all. And I just wanted to bring that up to see if y'all had some dynamic information that we could take back. Because I realize I'm not smart enough here, and I didn't go see the police or the fire station or anybody. You got to be careful with the internet.
Oh yeah, internet's dangerous.
Part of that, Mr. Page, is ISO is a real complicated process. 50% of it is the fire department, 40% the water, 10% is our county dispatch. They only re-rate us every 5 years minimum. Lots of changes get made in those 5 years. Obviously, since last time we rated, we've had to downsize the whole department, close one station, so that I haven't been rated since all that occurred. So it would be hard for me to tell you for a fact that, yeah, we're going to lower it based on the ownership. You know, there's lots of numbers that get crunched in that whole process. We've improved in some areas, but we've also, I have less full-time firemen, so that affects the score. You know, lots of things go into that. Water companies made some improvements. That helps us again, but also amongst all that, there's what they call diversions that takes away from our scores. If they don't see the water and the dispatch and fire going down in unity, then they use the balance to subtract from your total. I mean, it's a real complicated process. So I can't unilaterally say, yes, you're going to have a lower ISO because of this. It will play a part, and it will be helpful. but I can't unilaterally say.
Thank you, sir, because that's why this young man, or old man, take your pick, was very confused when I was trying to understand the ISO rating for Cherokee Village, which I still don't know. Can you tell us what it is, please?
So, ISO Insurance Services Office, if I remember correctly, they rate responding departments. Like I said, 50% fire, 40% water, 10% dispatch on your capabilities. They have criteria, minimal criteria they expect. It's a sliding scale. Currently, the ISO rating we enjoy is a 4. So that means we scored 60-something points on the ISO thing. That's kind of how that works. So if you score 90 points, you're at a 1, which Jonesboro's a class 1, I believe, Little Rock, places like that. A lot of it goes into the training, the manpower, actually, and they strictly look at fires. They do not look at all the medical calls we run and our response times for that. They do look at response times. They do look at the equipment we have, the amount of training, the amount of continuing training that we do. In the water company, they look at how much water is available at your hydrants, the size of the hydrants. They look at travel distances, travel times. It goes on and on. It's a rather large document. And if you want to come by sometime, any of y'all, I've got the last ISO rating we did, and I can kind of show you like the report that comes out when they get done that shows what our city scored as far as everything that we do. It doesn't necessarily explain what you have to do in order to get that down. I relatively know because I've done several of them over the years in my career, but it's a lengthy process.
Mr. Thompson, you said you had something?
Doing something and getting it down. They also have opportunities for us to do, and I try to take advantage of that. Extra credit, I guess, would be the simplest way to explain it. There are things we can do above and beyond the ISO rating system that will take or give us points right off the top. Even after they subtract everything. Those tend to be things like having certified investigators, inspectors, all the training that goes with that. Things of that nature that are a little above and beyond suppression. So.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes, sir. A couple of points that, in responding to Mr. Nebel and some of the other comments that have come from the commissioners. First of all, the current ownership situation can benefit the citizens of this community more if the buildings are owned by the city. And that's pointed out in the second paragraph of this and in the last sentence, because we believe, having talked with our fire chief, that there are untapped federal and state grant opportunities that are not currently available to the citizens of this community. And there is one source of revenue to SID on the assessments, and that is the citizens paying their assessments. There are multiple sources of revenue available to the city, which include sales tax, grants, and other things. But ultimately, the city is supported by the citizens. So we're tapping into primarily one checkbook, and that is the residents of this community. SID will save the nearly $8,000 a year in insurance premiums on the buildings. But the citizens will have a greater benefit by having the ability of the city to go and pursue grants, which can only go with ownership. Mr. Nebel's comment about what you're carrying those buildings on the books for is an accounting issue. It is not something that is directly impacted by the city, but you're talking about buildings that were transferred to SID by Cooper Development back in 1969. So the cost to SID for those structures is zero because they were transferred to SID on behalf of the citizens. Now, the city was incorporated in '98, and so we've taken on the responsibility for roofs, air conditioners, and so on and so forth. But then lastly, the last point that I would like to make is I've owned, both from a business standpoint and individually, I've owned commercial buildings over decades. I have never asked, even in a triple net lease situation, which is basically what this is a triple net lease. I've never asked once my lessor to pay the premium for insurance on the building structure that I owned. And now SID is asking, or previously asked in the last meeting, asked for the city to pick up the $8,000 or $7,900, approximately $7,900 in annual insurance premiums. As a business owner and a taxpayer, I objected in that meeting, and the council unanimously turned down that proposal from SID. So we felt it was appropriate to come up with a counter proposal. SID will no longer pay insurance premiums on these buildings once they're transferred to the city, as they were transferred in the under the same statute, state statute that was provided to SID in 1969. If you want to not pay the premiums, transfer the buildings. If you want to continue to pay the premiums, then don't transfer them.
I wanted to piggyback off of Councilman Thompson. My issue was, in the beginning, was named insured. The named insured on the policy for the fire stations is SID. Therefore, if there is a loss, whether it be partial loss, total loss, what have you, SID is the one that is the check is going to be made payable to SID. To my knowledge, there's no documentation, there are no agreements, verbal, in writing, that says what the SID has to do with that money, any money that comes in for any type of loss, to make sure that a fire structure is available for the citizens, for the city to continue to lease. There's no documentation for that. 2 of the fire stations sit in the floodplain. And as we saw with the last flood, propane tank came disconnected, rolled around, ripped stuff out of the ground. So that's what started the fear for me. It's not so much we can sign a lease, it all makes perfect sense, but named insured, even regardless of how much money we spend, we will never be the ones protected in the event of a loss in current form, because there's no documentation in place that would say what SID has to do for the city in event of any type of loss.
And I think that SID would have agreed easily to those type of recommendations in a lease agreement where both people's names were insured. That would have been an easy resolution.
Well, but typically in the real estate, and I could be, if I'm wrong with commercial real estate, I want everyone to know, I will admit that I'm wrong. But my understanding in any type of residential or any type of real estate transaction, to my knowledge, that the named insured has to go with the name on the deed. It's basically cutting us in writing would not be sufficient, because if it's a total loss, the insurance company is going to want to know who owns the property. And currently SID does, not the city. And with both entities wanting to make sure we are being good stewards of any money that is received, any money in any account, it just concerned me because, to Mr. Nebel's point, of the real estate value of these buildings, that we would be in a lot of trouble if something were to happen in the event of that type of loss.
Did y'all ask your legal team to look into any kind of terminology to accommodate those kind of recommendations for the policy?
To be honest
Or to
with
be in
you,
the lease?
to be honest with you, I know that I personally did not, if anyone else did. But I will be honest with you, my fear is that verbiage would become very convoluted, and it would still have a level of ambiguity that is not in the best interest of the citizens of Cherokee Village. That is my opinion.
Hey, I have a question, and I don't know the answer to it.
Yes, Mr.
I didn't think about it being, so is it in a floodplain, the Base Heart one? So,
Two of them are.
Wakita and Mississippi.
so, and this is just from my personal knowledge, but do y'all carry flood insurance on them? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, we actually had
a thought here, and I typically have gone down some other tributaries, but the last tributary I'm going to talk about is in my research, the cities need to own the fire stations. That's what I've seen multiple times on every research I've done on every city, and I've talked with, I gotta tell you, Republicans, no Democrat answered me, so they're really looking at it at a perspective, like you said, Steve, the benefit to the citizens of Cherokee Village if we don't have fire prevention, fire
protection.
police or protection. It's just incredible.
And that's what this whole deal is over, is just, we just want to, make sure the ownership of the fire stations, we're the ones using them, and how, they're being used for city fire protection. It should be city owned.
Well, the only comment I would have is I can't wait till the 4th of July and eat pancakes.
No. And that was actually another question that was in the lease agreement, which, like I said, we rejected. So was about the fire station can only be used for fire protection, and we actually use them for the pancake fundraiser and the annual Easter egg hunt. And by the lease agreement, the way the lease agreement read, them wouldn't be allowed. Mr. Martin.
I just wanted to reiterate that the citizens of Cherokee Village voted the city council in.
Yes.
The citizens of Cherokee Village put you on the board. Not as many as put us in, but put you on the board. So you're doing your job not for SID and not for the city, but for the citizens of Cherokee Village. And I would appreciate you looking at this to what is the greatest benefit to the citizens, because the citizens have already paid for these amenities several times over. So that's the last thought I'd like to leave in your heads. Other than if that's the end, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Real quick, any closing comments?
I have one comment, Mayor. I agree with what Peter just said. We are all put in this position to look out for one person, and that is the citizen. And I think we all need to go back and soul search about what is the best for the citizen in this case, what's going to give them the most benefit. The second point of that is that, I always preach about when these decisions are made in the past, not saying SID or necessarily city, I'm saying all groups involved, decisions were made for in the moment. And I've always preached, and I know Peter has too, we need to be making decisions that are going to carry us through for the next 50 years. Yes. So even if you had a lease agreement that all of us today sitting in here could agree upon, no one knows who's going to sit in your chair, my chair, your chair in the next 5 or 10 years. So to think about this, it's solidifying this for once and for all for the citizens from now on. Yes. And so that's the only thought I really want to put in everyone's heads.
Yes.
So it's a difficult situation for all parties to be in, but at the end of the day, we're just vehicles for the citizens of this city.
Yes.
So.
Thank you, Ms. Pam. Yeah, I totally agree. We're in this for the citizens. Whatever best, whatever they get, it's the best for the citizens. Mr. Stolzman?
I'll just say again, when this whole thing came about, that was what I was looking at. What I felt was what was best for all citizens involved. I know that to get federal grants and to get any grants or anything, you need ownership. And to me, it just made better sense. Instead of us continuing to be involved in the fire, with the firehouses, instead just to give them, I mean, that was the solution I came up with last year myself. And I think that what's best for this community, of everybody here involved, would be for the city to own the fire stations, to get them up, to keep them upgraded, because you guys are the expert. Cal over there, he's the expert. He knows how to upgrade them. We don't know how. He's the one that knows what he needs, when he needs it. It's efficient if you own it, because you can get it done right then and there, instead of us going around, going through us. And that was my point on why I think that you guys should own it and why we should just leave it to you. So, as I said, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and to go along with that, I mean, me and the fire chief has been in discussion, and that, the fire station was built between 72, 74, I believe, isn't that right? The fire stations were built somewhere around 72, 74.
It was commissioned with their dependency, I guess, in 74.
Yeah, 74. I mean, and they've done a good job. We've kept them, kept them serviceable, kept them nice. I mean, we do the best we can. You're talking about a building that's, more than 50 years old. And we do our best to keep them up. Like last year, we rebuilt the parking lot at Baysart because the parking lot was dilapidated. Because we had to. We had to keep it going. This year, the propane tanks, because of the flooding waters, we end up having to replumb all the propane lines inside the building because of what happened with the flooding issues and stuff. Now that's stuff we have to do to keep the buildings in proper operating stance at all times, to keep it livable for the firefighters that live in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, around the clock. We keep it up for them. But also if you come, we're talking about a building more than 50 years old that needs some heavy duty capital improvements spent on it to bring it up to modern standards, but it would be hard pressed for me to want to spend citizens' monies on buildings that we don't own. I mean, if we don't have ownership, maybe that's a stance, and maybe that I've read in the municipal law book somewhere, but that's a stance that I've kind of took, is that I don't believe we can legally spend citizens' money on something we can't own. But anyway, that's my stance. So, any closing? Go ahead.
May I speak on Sid's behalf, as we've all spoken about the community and the citizens in Cherokee Village and what's best for the community. I think Sid always gets that slight hand, but when you pull up that Welcome to Cherokee Village or Discover Cherokee Village website, everything that's on there are the Sid amenities. So they are a very important part of this community, and being able to maintain them and improve them is what we've done over the last 3.5 years since we've had commissioners that were elected to our board. And we want to continue to do that. And we would love to work with the city, but it doesn't seem to be a partnership that is really looking out for the community. It seems to be trying to hurt each other. I would love to see us all come together and be able to have a civil meeting and a civil community gathering where everybody really is looking out for what's best for the community and not our individual needs. We need the city, and the city needs us. Y'all are no more important than we are, and we're no more important than you are. We couldn't survive without y'all, and y'all can't survive without us. So it's a difficult relationship that needs to be worked on and come together. That's what's best for this community.
I'm sorry that you feel that way. I feel like this has been
It's showed right here in this meeting tonight.
Well, we started off a little spicy, as my kids would say.
Mr. Mayor, there's a motion on the floor.
We're doing closing.
We're closing.
We didn't get a second.
It wasn't
it died.
seconded.
Okay, well, I want to say this, I understand that, we've all had our jobs and we've all been at work all day, but if there's still communication to be had, I would rather just kind of see that through than try to get out of here in an hour. That's just my opinion. I mean, I certainly don't have to continue to talk, but I wanted to respond because I do feel like that was just a little bit, no. You can get more flies with honey and vinegar. I'm not going to say what I thought. I feel that we started off spicy, but I feel like we got to a much better place as we continued to talk and listen to each other and not interrupt. I feel really bad that that's not your perception. I just want to ask, and I'm going to specifically ask that only a SID commissioner or yourself speak to this question, but the only thing that got brought up by a SID commissioner was the fact of the value of the buildings and that that's what y'all stand to lose. But could you please give a couple points as to why the municipal building of the fire station does not count as an amenity? I think everyone in here would agree that fire protection is not a bonus. It is something that has to happen. So maybe if we got on the same page with some vocabulary, that could help build a bridge to get us to a better place overall. But what are some points from the SID, in your opinions, or even facts if you have them, why it makes the most sense for the community for y'all to retain ownership of fire stations? We're not talking about the lakes and the golf courses, because to your point, that is what everyone sees when they look at anything. And I want to give credit where credit is due. But as it pertains to these buildings, just the three we're talking about, please give some examples as to why SID needs to retain ownership of those.
And we're only asking for the three that are in service, not the other one that isn't in service.
Correct.
So, you know, we're only asking what is being used.
My only point personally was that I think that SID is in a position right now where they're uncertain. 11 years, those assessments are up, so in the next 4 or 5 years, there's going to be some big decisions made, and waiting and making those decisions about the firehouses, in my opinion, should wait till that time. In my second opinion, as someone who looks at it as a business, that's a over $2 million asset that we would be giving away. I don't think SID's in the business of giving assets away. And, you know, you would have someone who could equally want to argue that now we're giving the assets away. There's always that devil's advocate. To me, it's an asset that we just can't afford to give away at this time. Maybe in the future, that's the plan where it could go. I can't say that.
And then we have a huge expense coming up real soon. It's imminent. And we're going to need all of the collateral that we can put in one pot.
Possibly.
I know about possibly, really possibly. And like we all know, the end of the assessment is going to be a huge, huge thing. And you said you're taking care of the fire stations, and you said what would happen if, and we had all those insurance money on all those roofs. We just fix those roofs with the insurance money. We did the right thing. We did the right thing. And somebody's saying, well, what do you need these buildings for? Well, maybe we don't need the buildings, but they're our buildings. And Mr. Cal knows that I'll do anything for the fire stations. But right now, we need to hold our money close. And those buildings are a big chunk of our money.
But the other thing, you're looking at an abstract. Just because somebody says it's $2 million, that doesn't mean it's worth $2 million. And even, there's all sorts of things that can be done to that property. That property could be condemned. That's not worth anything. That's a possibility. And we're trying to do it as equitable as possible. So you're saying it's worth $1 million. It's only worth $1 million to a person that's going to pay $1 million for that piece of land. And more people will want to be on the four lane for $1 million than there will be in the middle of Cherokee Village.
I caught something there for a second. Maybe nobody else caught it. Did you just say you're going to use our fire station as collateral?
The assessment.
I wouldn't want to. Doesn't that put it at risk?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a vital service to this city that you're going to put for collateral. So if
She said it could be. It could be, and if it's used that way, it can be a liability.
Okay, 10 years from now,
that decision.
if you use it for collateral in 10 years from now, don't hope this happens, we'll say SID goes belly up. We just lost our fire station.
Exactly.
Well,
I'm
also,
sorry, that is not even,
also,
that
I
shouldn't be.
didn't know they could be used for collateral, but that would be a lawyer question.
Maybe
But
I
anyway,
just- I just look at the assessments.
I would like to ask, can I get you said you paid for the roofs to be fixed after the hailstorm? Can I get a copy of the paid receipt?
The roof
Please.
was fixed by the insurance that y'all had covered on the building for the hailstorm at Base Hart, I think is what you're referring to.
So the SID didn't actually pay for it, the insurance
Yeah, I was
that
gonna
the
say, 'cause
city
I
at the
wrote
time was paying for is what covered it.
Yeah, because that's
Exactly. The city was
$59,000.
paying double insurance. We were insuring the building, and y'all were insuring the building too for
But the
years.
insurance on our behalf is what paid for it.
Well, y'all filed the claim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
But wouldn't
So for
a
clarity-
landlord be required to fix those things?
We don't have a lease, so there's no requirement. There was no requirement. Y'all have maintained the firehouses for all these years. That's not something that's changed.
So, Mr. Mayor, can I ask for then a correction then? Because you stated that you just replaced the roofs.
I did not state that, Mr. Thompson.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was speaking to Commissioner Jett. So Ms. Jett, a commissioner, made the statement that SID paid for the roofs, when point in fact, they did not. Am I correct or incorrect?
Okay.
I'm incorrect.
She said the insurance paid for it.
So the insurance paid for the roof, but the insurance that paid for the roof was SID's insurance policy or the city's?
The city was insuring the building at
Okay.
the cost of the homeowners and property owners
Okay.
here for no
And the only reason
But it came under the municipal
Can we
league.
please, one at a
But-
time,
Yeah,
please?
hold on.
I made a
And-
mistake.
No, and the only reason I was asking, no, it's no big deal. The only reason I was asking is because I've heard rumors from the rumor mill in town. You know how that goes, that the SID collected insurance money and the city collected insurance money, and there's been rumors, so this was just to clarify the rumor. Exactly, and that's what I said. You're saying something illegal, and I said, I'm not getting into that, so we clarified that. The city's insurance paid for the
city was
roof.
paying
Okay.
duplicate insurance on all the firehouses.
That's all I was asking.
So,
We're good. We're good. Nope, no, we're good.
Mayor, I call for the question.
Adjourn? Jeff, second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.